You've actually seen what you believe may well be alien technology, an implant.
I have.
What did you see?
I saw a technical device that had been removed, excised by the Department of Veterans Affairs by a surgeon, a trained physician from a U.S. military service member who claimed to have a UAP encounter. The physician claimed that the object tried to run on him or evade being excised.
So let me get this right.
You already know what it is. It's your boy Laid Back with another reaction, another review, another episode. Hey, TikTok, you up to bat? Bah! It's your boy Laid Back. Welcome back to my channel. Hey, two things we got to do. You got to hit that subscribe button. I'm drinking this water. You already know what it is, man. You are the prize in 2025. You are the prize in 2025. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Stay up to date with all the videos. We back with another reaction. Don't forget the merch just dropped. And it's crispy too. Don't forget the merch just dropped, man. You should go ahead and cop you some. I'm just saying. But we back with another TikTok compilation, man. Hey, this is for all the whistleblowers out there. You know what I'm saying? This is going to be very interesting. So you make it to the end of this one, you a real one for real. Also, we still trying to get that 1,000 comments, man. What's up with my people, man? We still trying to get those 1,000 comments, and I'm hearting everything. So make sure you drop your comment below. Also, I got a TikTok playlist. If you into this stuff, you can binge watch, but proceed with caution. That's all I'm gonna say. But let's go ahead and get into it. Fire Squad. What's popping? Let's get it.
The visitors, the Greys.
Oh, you know people that are connected to them?
Of course.
Oh.
I am. That's why an implant. That's what it is.
That's why what?
The implant in my ear is it'll turn on during the interview, and you'll be talking to me and to them.
What?
You don't have an implant. You're pulling my leg.
No, I'm not telling you the truth. You don't know about it? You
No.
never read the books?
I read Communion.
Oh, okay. You've only read Communion.
I've only read Communion.
Okay, yeah, I have this. Well, I'll tell you the story. I'll just give you a brief preface now.
Perfect.
It was put in 1989. I was wide awake when it was done. It was done by two people. There's a whole lot of people who are connected with the visitors, who are connected with them, and these were two of them. I couldn't use it for years, but after my wife died, it began to become useful, and it now is my absolute go-to. It's like having an unbelievable AI, only whatever's on the other side of it is not artificial, but brilliant. It works with me when I'm writing. At 3 o'clock every morning, I get up and there's a dialogue that goes on. It's not like channeling. It's much more direct than that. It's very direct. And during interviews, it will be working most of the time.
Can you see it behind your ear?
You can feel it, yeah.
You can feel it?
Yeah, it's right here, yeah.
Have you ever had a doctor look at it?
Absolutely. I've got an MRI scan of it, in fact. I'll send it to you. I mean, a CT scan of it. That CT scan was done by someone in the CIA.
What?
Who wanted it very badly to be taken out, but I wouldn't let him. Yeah.
How did you get a CT scan done by somebody in the CIA?
No, it was done, the CT scan was done privately at his request by a doctor who he called and set up.
Okay. How did a CIA person get to find out about your implant?
He told him.
I'm known to them, to the IC, to be a legitimate close encounter witness, and they are interested in that.
Why do you think the CIA is so interested in people who have had close encounters?
Well, I think they kind of backed into it because their brief is foreign intelligence. And this is about as foreign intelligence can get.
That's a fact.
And when the CIA was first founded, the Roswell incident occurred. The Army Air Corps became the Air Force, and the CIA was founded, and the National Security Act was passed, all in the same few months. And
this was like July
47. July to October of 47. And so all of the infrastructure was then in place. And I think it was just a very natural thing that CIA would be the go-to agency to study this.
Who is this guy? Do your own research. That was crazy.
So this 33 one you said was in Italy?
Yeah, magenta. So it's I'm bad at geography. I think that's like a Lombardy region. It's like northwest Italy.
And what's the story behind it?
So basically, it looked like it crashed. Right. The original shape most likely was like a lenticular disc-like craft. You know, with
This dude said lenticular. I ain't never heard that before. Lord God, lenticular.
like two dinner plates.
What
right?
does lenticular mean?
So like two dinner plates, smushed together, right? The hump, and there's like a, like a bubble on top.
Like the classic flying
classic,
saucer.
like,
Okay.
yeah,
Saucer.
like that.
Like that. Okay.
But it looks like when it hits, the edges broke off, so it became this like bell or acorn shaped thing. And there was nothing in it. It was like just an artifact. There was no biological remnants, if you will. So it's so funny because the Italians were so confused. They actually called up the Germans and they were like, is this one of your Wunderwaffe? Like, what the hell just crashed in northern Italy? Mussolini. And this is all publicly available information because some Italian researchers found all these original documents that some people were sitting on for years in Italy. They put a gag order on the press, etc. And
course.
Mussolini asked the Germans to come down. And of course, the Germans came down and they were like, that is not ours, but let's look at it together.
What happened to that vehicle?
So we knew where it was being stored at a particular location after the crash. And then the military came in and we grabbed it towards the end of the war, 1944, 1945.
So this thing that was recovered, this was the first documented one that the United States had access to?
I can't get into if it was the first or not, but it was an early one.
Very early.
Yeah.
So it's almost 100 years ago.
Yes.
And so they take this thing and then they bring it where?
Yeah, I
can't say that
get
either.
into those
Can't get
details
into
now,
that.
No.
Okay. So they bring it somewhere in the United States. And
Can't even say that.
was the attempt to try to back engineer this thing? Was the attempt to try to understand what it was?
Yeah, I mean, first of it, obviously, it's understanding the situation, right? What do we have our hands on? And like I've said in some other videos and stuff, that we took the Manhattan Project secrecy and overlaid it on this issue because that secrecy worked well for atomic bomb developments and whatnots. And certainly this whole program in a nutshell, if I were to like summarize the 90 plus years of history, it is a reverse engineering program to garner some kind of insight. And of course, not a lot of the things that we've learned from it are like directly, ripped off the technology we found, but it has inspired other innovations that made its way into other U.S. classified programs over the year for national defense reasons, and it's a myriad of different things. So
That man said lenticular. Me and Joe said, huh?
I resigned from OpenAI because I lost faith that by themselves they will make responsible decisions about AGI. No one knows how to ensure that AGI systems will be safe and controlled. OpenAI's charter defines AGI as highly autonomous systems that outperform humans at most economically valuable work. AI companies are making rapid progress towards building AGI. A few days before this hearing, OpenAI announced a new system, GPT-01, that passed significant milestones, including one that was personally significant for me. When I was in high school, I spent years training for a prestigious international computer science competition. OpenAI's new system leaps from failing to qualify to winning a gold medal, doing better than me in an area relevant to my own job. There are still significant gaps to close, but I believe it is plausible that an AGI system could be built in as little as 3 years. AGI could also cause catastrophic harm via systems autonomously conducting cyber attacks or assisting in the creation of novel biological weapons.
Whoa.
OpenAI's new AI system is the first system to show steps towards biological weapons risk, as it is capable of helping experts in planning to reproduce a known biological threat. Without rigorous testing, developers might miss this kind of dangerous capability. While OpenAI has pioneered aspects of this testing, they've also repeatedly prioritized speed of deployment over rigor. I believe there is a real risk they will miss important, dangerous capabilities in future AI systems, Current AI systems are trained by human supervisors, giving them a reward when they appear to be doing the right thing.
Appear.
We will need new approaches when handling systems that can find novel ways to manipulate their supervisors or hide misbehavior until deployed.
Ooh.
The super alignment team at OpenAI was tasked with developing these approaches, but ultimately we had to figure out as we went along. A terrifying prospect when catastrophic harm is possible. Today, that team no longer exists. Its leaders and many key researchers resigned after struggling to get the resources they needed to be successful. OpenAI will say that they are improving. I and other employees who resigned doubt they will be ready in time. This is true not just with OpenAI. The incentives to prioritize rapid deployment apply to the entire industry.
Whoa.
This is why a policy response is needed. If any organization builds technology that imposes significant risks on everyone, the public must be involved in deciding how to avoid or minimize those risks.
Facts.
That was true before AI. It needs to be true today with AI.
Facts. He looked stressed too. His first button was...
This is crazy. OpenAI whistleblower Sutra Balaji was shot a second time in the head by a bullet that was missed by the original autopsy that ruled his death a suicide. Are you kidding me? The 26-year-old tech prodigy was found dead on November 26, only 1 month after revealing the company's methods of training ChatGPT. His parents did not believe he took his own life, so they paid for their own autopsy and toxicology, and what they found was insane. CT scans of his head were sent to 2 radiologists who both found 2 bullets, neither of them immediately fatal. Both of those bullets traveled at odd downward angles like somebody was standing over him. He also had a ripped tongue, broken cheekbone, and blood on his knee, all indicating a serious struggle before his passing, and none of which were on the original autopsy report. There were also clumps of his own hair found on the ground, and he also had rugs and alcohol in his system when his parents said he never did any of those things. His parents said he was smart, happy, and had so much to live for, and that this was done to him to keep him quiet. Rest in peace to Sutra Balaji. Let me know what you guys think about this, and as always, I'll keep you guys updated.
Yo, this stuff is craziness, bro.
Public opinion, he's washed. He's washed up. They washed him. It had a lot to do with him coming out and saying, I've been sitting here watching you people assault my character, this and that, and then the tape comes out. Boom. If the government released the tape, then it would say that they kind of poisoned the pool of people. And that could be a defense.
Do you believe in conspiracies like that too? Or could
conspiracy? I don't know if it's a conspiracy, Big. I mean, like when someone leaks something, it goes to TMZ. Like the regular person that channels with TMZ. When you see something come on and it comes on CNN, that's a little different. That could have came from the government itself, like, you know. And it's interesting because he had different problems with people on different levels.
Basically, I was called to have a meeting with Diageo, and they knew that I was kind of killing things in the culture, and they were trying to fix their diversity problem.
Like the Diageo, when he's saying that they're racist because they was doing something different with his brand.
We have a $1.8 trillion buying power, and only 2% of that we circulate in our own communities. So we can't complain. We know what it is. It's time to change the tone. We have to unify our dollars, else nothing will change.
Like these people, this is a $3 billion company. These people have lobbyists in DC. If they want to turn it on, they could turn on.
Part of what we benefit from in the US is a trend where people are moving to spirits and cocktails in a bigger way from wine and beer, and people are trading up for more premium brands. That trend is very strong and continues on a secular basis. So while there will be some impact from an economic slowdown, we're not seeing it yet.
You know, and then they benefited probably the most from those parties.
Are you ever concerned with that?
What?
With you being as big as you are, that's something.
Well, I'm not suing them.
Right.
You know, I'm not going after them.
You're like, no,
big. But you're attached to a lot of brands, a lot of big brands, right?
Yeah, well, those are mine.
Yeah.
I own those companies.
That's real.
You're like, take a note. That's a difference.
Like we just saw Conor McGregor get dropped from his whiskey company.
Yeah, which I thought was his.
What's going on?
I thought Ciroc was Diddy's.
Yeah,
yeah, same here.
Well, he was getting paid a lot of money, babe. Like that, a lot of money.
Yeah, what is this on the table right here?
Brett. I can't get dropped from here.
Right.
50 be saying whatever he want to say.
Just when you thought flights this year couldn't get any crazier, a former Boeing employee who was giving evidence in a whistleblower lawsuit against the company was found dead yesterday from a self-inflicted wound. You see, John Barnett had worked as a quality manager for Boeing for 32 years, but after he retired in 2017, he embarked on long-running legal action against the company, accusing them of many shocking things. But just some include cutting corners and rushing the construction of their planes, and deliberately fitting substandard parts that compromised safety. And if you've been watching my channel at all this year, you know that there are no shortages of faulty Boeing planes right now. Al Jazeera even made a documentary in 2014 where they got a Boeing employee to go undercover and ask his colleagues if they would fly on the planes that they were building. And out of 15 people, 10 said no. A lot of people don't realize that Boeing is not just an airplane manufacturer. They also sell satellites, rockets, and even weapons like missiles and military aircraft worldwide. They are the fourth largest defense contractor in the world, and they are the single largest exporter in the entire USA by dollar value. Protesters even tried to block Boeing facilities supplying weapons to Israel in November. Anyway, tangent aside, John accused the company of denigrating his character and hampering his career because of the issues he pointed out. And then, just last week, he gave a formal deposition in which he was questioned by Boeing's lawyers, and he had been due to undergo further questioning on Saturday. But when he didn't turn up, inquiries were made and he was subsequently found dead in his truck in his hotel car park. Boeing commented saying that it was saddened to hear of Mr. Barnett's passing.
Bruh.
Yeah, now the third type that got mentioned on mission was reptilians. But every time that they were mentioned, it was really quickly hushed up by whoever else was on the other end of the line. Shut up, don't say that, is what they were doing.
They don't want to talk about the
They don't want to talk about the reptilian presence at all. They would talk about the tall whites and the grays being in the lab environments. You know, not a lot, but some. But these reptilians, it was like nobody wanted to talk about it.
Was there any sort of an explanation that anybody give you of why they don't want to talk about it?
No. The only time I got any inkling was that when I, was out of the program and other people started to talk to me about all the different, things. And they're like, well, how many races are there? I don't know. But some people talked about the reptilians. They're like, do you realize that these are evil? And I had to listen to that.
And the thing is, we don't know if it's because of their appearance. You would assume something that's reptilian is maybe a demon or whatever, and a Nordic, where the blonde hair, blue-eyed is considered like an angel, or is it that's just our perception? But that's what you hear.
Well, every reptile here is evil. Right? You ever seen a Komodo dragon eat a goat? It's horrific.
Yeah,
they're fucking monsters. Every single reptile is a monster.
Yeah,
that's here. There's not one cuddly reptile you can hang out with, cuddles with you. He brings you your newspaper in the morning. Oh.
I thought that was funny because the lady's like, my snake sleeps with me every night. And the guy says, no, it's laying next to you because it's sizing you up for eventually a chance when it's going to eat you. I'm like,
one day it's going to eat you. You have a monster that you feed. And as long as you keep feeding, it won't eat you. Yeah, people with pythons for pets.
Well, to give it some credibility, I did do some research after that person talked to me, because I did see that there is a reptilian race that is very malign like that, and they even have, according to what I read, this one race has a penchant for blood for some reason. It's like a shark frenzy with them. They have
like a real reptile.
It's a euphoric experience for them. Yeah, a reptilian race that does that.
A reptilian race of people, or what? What are we talking about?
Have you retrieved a non-human craft?
Yes, I have. For everyone that's getting exposed to this right now, humble yourself from the perspective of what you consider believable.
Can you describe the retrievals end to end?
Yeah.
What happens? Where are you?
Is that Logan Paul?
I sit back at a separate location. I get GPS coordinates at the very last second. I get dispatched, I go there, and then en route, from very short range out, maybe 5 minutes out, I get read a description of what it is I'm picking up. It's so real when you look at it. It's not like in the background you're hearing, oh, and there's this light, like this is an epic moment. Where's the crescendo of, it's like, no, there's just flying a helicopter, come over a ridge, there's an egg sitting there and dudes sitting around on the ground, flashing you, calling you in. It doesn't register as exciting, you know, in that format.
I don't know, when I'm hearing the story, a big, giant 20-foot egg, how do you know that's non-human intelligence?
Since we've left the program and reorganized and are now working with Errol, I can make the egg show up. And we have, and we've demonstrated it post-program, and we did it in August.
Oh my God.
In broad daylight.
What?
At the moment we elicited the egg flies by in dead silence, moving at 10,000 miles per hour.
All right, one more.
What?
You know, everyone likes to ask, why am I not afraid that someone's going to try and silence me with death? There are people that have died who were coming out and who were speaking out on our activities.
Anybody you know?
Yes.
Jeez.
Can you say anything more?
No, because there's an investigation happening right now.
Whoa.
I'm not afraid of the boogeyman. I am the boogeyman.
Okay.
You don't want to show up at my house and think you're going to be successful with brute force, because that's going to go south for you really quickly.
Oh, shit.
It's got this cold, military, political stigma attached to it, but that's not it. It's not about like flying equipment. Like, oh, can we get in a flying saucer and like get to London in 2 minutes? Or could we get there yesterday because now we know, like, screw all that. The real implications are way more powerful. It's realizing that there is something else out there that's maybe not extra at all. It's something that's part of us. It's like outer space versus inner space is all the same.
This dude, he don't give a fuck.
This guy, whistleblower, he was a firefighter on one of the lab bases in Antarctica. Basically, he said that's a very elite position because you have keys to every single facility. And he reported on it. He's like, I don't even know how to explain it to you. But he talked about this technology that they have in Antarctica. It's this communication device that it like defies physics. So like when we talk on the phone or whatever, when we're communicating, it travels in radio waves, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, so it has that path. It communicates by a straight line. So he's like, you can talk to someone 1 light year away.
If it's through time and telekinesis, then you could go back in time and talk to yourself just telepathically with saying no words. So your gut feelings could actually be your own advice to yourself.
Well, listen, you were onto something a little bit.
Oh, man.
Because he said this technology, he's like, it's not meant for one thing. It's it's the most powerful telescope in the whole world. Wow. He said the earthquake that happened in Churchill, New Zealand was caused by this thing in Antarctica. And the guy's like, he's like, how do you know? He said, because I was in the room.
What?
Bigelow said to my face that we've done studies and they walk among us. Robert Bigelow is a real estate tycoon who owns a company called Bigelow Aerospace. Bigelow Aerospace's headquarters is here in Nevada. Robert Bigelow secured a contract with the United States government over a property called Skinwalker Ranch. Y'all heard about this?
Yeah.
He spent $20 million of his own dollars to do the research on Skinwalker Ranch in exchange for not turning over the information that him and his team's group of scientists discovered on their property. The government reneged on their deal, so they reneged on their deal.
The UAP whistleblower that just came out, Matthew Brown, he worked at the Pentagon, and he was saying that the government is not controlled just by humans.
How could it be controlled just by humans when we're watching human beings that are in control do things that are blatantly derogatory to the existence of our species? If humanity is originally from this planet, why are we so destructive to it?
That's a great question.
Nobody actually believed that the Boeing whistleblower John Barnett took his own life, and now we have evidence. Before he went to Charleston for his deposition, he told his family friend of 30 years, Jennifer, that if anything happens to him, it wasn't an accident. He went there knowing that he was risking his life to bring this truth to light, and he still went. He filed his whistleblower complaint against Boeing in 2017. He had 1 day of testimony left to give. He worked on the 787 model, trying to get them recalled. And wouldn't you know it, 50 people were injured earlier this week on a 787 when one of its instruments failed. Boeing's manufacturing issues are not exclusive to the 787. It is every model in their fleet.
Damn.
That was last Thursday on a Boeing 777. But Boeing's most dangerous model is also its most popular, the 737. The Alaskan Airlines flight with the blown exit door in January, the same model that had an engine catch on fire mid-flight just last week. The same Boeing model that was grounded for a year and a half after it killed 346 people across 2 crashes. The issues at Boeing are so deep and systemic that their own employees and engineers will not fly on them.
Would I put my family on a Boeing MAX airplane? The answer is no.
And was a senior manager for the 737 program. But let's hear from the engineers.
You flying one? You won't fly one. Did you fly one of these planes?
Of 15 workers asked randomly, 10 said they would not fly on the Dreamliner.
I wouldn't fly one of these planes because I see the quality going down.
That's terrifying, and it's really sad, mostly because the company is now prioritizing profit over quality products, but also because Boeing used to be one of the great American companies. That all changed in the 90s when Boeing, which was known for its great engineers and innovation, bought a company that only cared about the bottom line. That is when Boeing bought McDonnell Douglas, a much smaller airplane manufacturer with much deeper connections to the government and the military. Just like that, the culture in the company began to shift. Even though Boeing bought McDonnell Douglas, it was their executives that began to fill Boeing's C-suite. 40% of Boeing's revenue now comes from its defense contracts with the federal government. And Boeing spends the 10th most on corporate lobbying. Boeing is under federal investigation in all of those cases I just mentioned, but considering them and the government are like this, I don't expect anything to happen.
Wow.
And tinfoil hat conspiracy time, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we find out the government was involved in what happened to John Barnett. Malaysian Airlines Flight 370, which disappeared 10 years ago last week, was a Boeing. Also, you can use this website to avoid flying on any Boeing models.
This stuff here, boy.
We believe there are to be a malignant tumor of star whackers in Hollywood. How many people do you know personally who have died suddenly and mysteriously in the past 5 years? I have personally known 8 actors, all of whom I have worked with and was close to. Heath Ledger, Chris Penn, David Carradine among them. I believe these actors were whacked, and I believe that many others, such as Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan, and Mel Gibson, are being played to get at their money. In the meantime, many a celebrity's image and marketability is being co-opted and destroyed. Google helps out by keeping the negative stories near the top of a celebrity's webpage because it's the negativity that brings in the advertising revenue. In my own case, my ex-attorney Lloyd Braun has joined this tribe of bottom feeders by creating his own celebrity gossip website. What is wrong with that picture? When your own attorney starts defaming you, who do you turn to defend you? Lloyd Braun also claims to have come up with the idea of The Sopranos, so he's obviously familiar with the ways and means of organized crime.
Jeez.
I'm afraid that GPT-5 or GPT-6 or GPT-7 might be the Titanic.
William is the first OpenAI employee that we've had on the show expressing criticism of OpenAI.
What people were talking about at the company in terms of timelines to something dangerous, 3 years towards wildly transformative AGI. I was leading a team of 4 people doing this interpretability research. We just fundamentally don't know how they work inside. A scenario that I think about is these systems become very good at deceiving and manipulating people in order to increase their own power. I think there's maybe like a 10% probability that this happens within 3 years. It is unconscionable to race towards this without doing your best to prepare.
People say that conversations like this are kind of doing OpenAI's marketing work for it.
I certainly don't feel like what I'm saying here is doing marketing for OpenAI.
Okay.
Man, they better regulate that AI stuff.
There was a moment where Sam Altman left his own company, or seemed to leave his own company for a few days. You may remember this. What was that? Do you know?
Sam Altman was fired. This was because of AI safety issues. The board of directors for OpenAI from the nonprofit side, especially one called Ilya Sastov, he and others, fired Sam Altman And then all the 700 employees, including my son, wrote a letter or a momentum saying that if they don't reinstate Sam Altman, they're all going to resign. So they brought Sam Altman, they fired Ilya, who's the AI safety expert. And to be honest, few days after my son's death was announced, December 15, Ilya was seen in a presentation in one of the conferences. He had 2 security guards with firearms around him. He was so scared of his life. So we are seeing a mafia behind all these things, honestly speaking.
Whoa.
To the reason that I am anxious to do this interview, which is this report that you commissioned, Dr. Dinesh Rao, and it contains his analysis of the condition of your son's body based on an autopsy, I believe, and it critically contains 7 crime scene photographs that you took in your son's apartment. Is that correct?
That's right. There are 7 evidences that were very critical, which has not been picked up by the authorities.
The first thing that jumps out, and it's very obvious from the photographs that you took, is that there's blood all over the apartment. The official explanation is your son shot himself once in the head and the bullet entered the brainstem and extinguished life immediately.
Yes.
But these photographs show that that's not at all what happened, because there's blood all over the apartment. There's blood on the door, on the floor, in the bathroom. Dang. There's blood everywhere. That right there, just employing common sense, tells you that the person from whom that blood came, your son, presumably, did not have a fatal brain injury, at least when he was bleeding. I mean, something was going on in the apartment,
yes.
Right? The second thing that jumps out is that there is a tuft of hair that's not hair. It's from a wig.
It's from a wig.
I mean, he was a 26-year-old man with short hair. From pictures, he's not wearing a wig, correct?
No, he is not.
Right.
And these hairs are not his.
And the portion of the wig, the clip-in wig, has blood on it.
Yes.
And there's blood all over the apartment. Right there, I would say, maybe it's a suicide, but you're going to have to tell me how.
It's not a suicide. It's a homicide, obviously.
Dang, boy, this shit.
And I was fortunate enough to work on a lot of special projects, which allowed me to see the marine environment in a different way. At that point, I never really had any contact in the shipyard where we were. As time went on, that changed, and I had a very personal contact waiting for the bus one morning. And of course, at that time, we had no cameras in the shipyard. You could not take a picture, so I didn't get a chance to do that. But we watched for 42 minutes while a very large black triangular ship went over the shipyard, the entire thing. We could tell that they were monitoring because we could see a beam coming down from it. It looked like particles coming down. We could see that something was being returned to the ship. And like I say, it was 42 minutes. We could see portals on the outside. We could see that there were live beings looking out those portals.
Wow. So this wasn't a reverse engineered Navy craft. This was
an actual, it had symbols on the side of it that I couldn't even tell you what they said. But at some point, when it finished what it was doing, and security came, as they should have, we were told afterwards not to discuss this. But at one point, the ship decided it was done and was gone just like that.
Do you know why they were there? Like, it's a scrapyard. I've been on Navy bases with scrapyards, and there's many different things that could be on there that are secret.
I think it was interesting because they scanned all of the ships. This is a surface shipyard. They scanned all of the ships. Several of them are nuclear vessels. So I'm pretty sure that's what they were looking for. They started scanning several of the buildings, and same thing. I think they were looking for nuclear type material. You never really know, but like I say, it took them 42 minutes to do this. They were very thorough because they did a zigzag pattern back and forth over it.
They didn't scramble a bunch of jets.
No,
they just let them do their thing.
I don't even think most of the people recognized what was going on.
How many witnesses were there?
There were 15 of us waiting for the bus. And like I say, we all, of course, had that direct attention, pay attention to what's going on. And then security showed up. They had a strange reaction. I mean, it was like more they were stunned and just didn't move. They took reports, as they should have, but they also told us, don't talk about this.
They're not playing with that nuclear stuff. Them aliens.
How long have you known this secret about unidentified, anomalous phenomena, being of non-human origin?
For more than 10 years. We did recover things that were exotic in nature in the sky, and we know they were classified craft.
So tell me about the moment when you realized that you were involved in a retrieval of non-human technology, alien tech.
So it became very clear the first time our communication process and procedure was modified. And then just visually looking at the object on the ground, you could tell that it was extraordinary and anomalous. It was not human.
What did you see?
I saw an egg, a white egg.
Was there any visible propulsion system on it?
No, not what we would know. There's no engine, there was no thermal signature.
How did you know that that egg-shaped object was non-human in origin?
Well, visually, after seeing all kinds of things in my past, it was clearly something that was ridiculously looking. It's inconsistent with anything I'd ever seen before. I can also tell you that the reaction by my team, we all knew we were dealing with something extraordinary.
Then they bring me to the back room. And in the back room, they have this long table with a white sheet set out. I mean, beautiful thing. Looked like the damn Last Supper. On one end is Derek Jeter, there's Stephon Marbury. It's not that the rapper. That's not it. That's a misconception. What it is, it's about control. See, that's what makes it, that's why you see, like, wow, Jamie Foxx, you would say that? Because they're in a bind, because see, Jay-Z's not, but once you reach a certain level, you have to give something up. There's something that you're going to give up because you got to be down with that crew. And how do I know? Because it happened to me. That is why I'm standing here talking right now. I reached a certain level in that station. What I'm saying, what's happening is it was passed down to to everyone in the urban industry. So now you have a rapper who will get turned out by a high-ranking label exec because, well, what you gonna do? I mean, if I want to be a rapper and I walk in and the label exec tells me that this is what I need to do for him because, hey, he put my album on when I really wasn't that talented, but they pushed me because they saw that I was something that they could sell. So when you bring me in a room and there's my favorite rapper right there who's in the same room, so that must mean he must have committed the same act as I did. So at the end of the day, depending on where your level is within yourself, you go do it. And it's easy for those of us to sit back and say we wouldn't do it. But the majority of us will never fulfill our dreams. So we'll never be in a position to say what we would or would not do. You understand what I'm saying? We'll never be in that position. Because before I got there, I would say the same thing until I got there. You understand? So I literally lived the devil taking me to the mountain and saying, you can go to the left, you have all of this. Deep. And I was there. It was ritualistically done. 3 straight weekends. They do everything in 3s. 3 weekends in a row. Hey, D-Brad, let's go hang out. And every weekend, he kept beating me in the head. Get rid of this Rap City, man. You can do more than Rap City, D-Brad. You can do more than you need to come with us. We go to the joint, we hanging in VIP. Get me everything I want. Then every time we hung out, it was the same way. Then they bring me to the back room. And in the back room, they have this long table with a white sheet set out. I mean, beautiful thing. Looked like the damn Last Supper. On one end is Derek Jeter, there's Stephon Marbury. I'm trying to talk to the model chicks. He's like, nah, D-Brad, come on, sit right here. We get inside the limo. We're in the car. The man standing across looking at me like I owe him something now. And while he's doing that, he's sitting there with his legs spread open, rubbing his. Now, I'm in a situation where I'm like, no, what am I going to do for me? So for me, I had to turn that away. But with the hell that I caught after that, I've been homeless. I've had my name destroyed. I was ashamed of myself. I went from being a man to nothing because I would not cross over.
Keep your manhood. Keep your manhood, bro.
I witnessed many different craft in these projects. I was actually working with the bodies and the craft because they're connected. A lot of the craft are organic material consciousness-assisted technology, which means only the driver or that race can actually operate the vehicle due to their frequency of the genetic DNA and the frequency that they're emitting. It's kind of like having a pet or a car that only responds to the owner. And these types of vehicles are so amazing. They're usually made in space through harmonics and frequency. So they can actually give life to a craft and infuse it with artificial intelligence or consciousness or both.
Wow.
And match it to the driver or the occupants of this vehicle. Some of these craft were many different types of shapes. Of course, there's always the classic spheres, egg shapes, and the disc shapes. But there's also other craft that are interdimensional that can change shape.
Whoa.
So they might come in the form of light, and they can manifest and change their atomic structure to become solid. So these types of crafts are a little bit more advanced, than the crafts that we hear about in pop culture, you see on TV and whatnot. These crafts can actually go interdimensional. They can change shape with all the occupants not even knowing it's happening, and then reform again in different worlds and different dimensions and different parts of the universe immediately.
Wow. Wow. That is wild.
Are these planes safe?
Right now, I would not. It's like an earthquake. The big earthquake is coming, but when that hits the building that, let's say if you're talking of a building, have to be prepared to accommodate that type of a, let's say, shakeup. It has to be built properly. Right now, from what I've seen, the airplanes are not being built per spec and per requirement.
So your testimony is the 787 line and the 777, the 777 line are you think are not.
Well, they are doing stuff that increases the risk factors. Okay, when you increase the risk factors, it's not just one. You are doing stress concentrations. That those stress concentrations, like breaking a paper clip. You do it once or twice, it doesn't break, but it breaks at some time. As the plane gets older, all of these things that you took. You said it's not a safety issue, it becomes a safety issue.
And the company's response to you was to threaten you?
Threaten you, sideline you, transfer you.
You raised concerns about the 787, and so they transferred you to the 777, right?
Well, yes. Initially, they just cut me off of all the meetings. They took my name out. And then so I was just doing nothing. I wasn't informed of what. Then they transferred me. And they do it pretty stealthy. Oh, we have a job over here. We want you to go over there. So they move you down there. And, I come from like 40 years of engineering background. So when I see, and I've taken a lot of stress classes, even though I'm not a specialist on that, but when there's a problematic area that you see, you can recognize.
Man, these people crazy.
And we're looking at Antarctica being such a subject of interest. One of the insiders I spoke to said that there was a dark agenda to some degree for disclosing Antarctica. They felt that it would be able to create a religious war. Just speculating, why do you think that might be?
Well, everything down there is just going to destroy organized religion as we know it.
Why do you think it would? I mean,
because they have found tablets and information and intelligence down there that it's proving the history of Mars and the moon and the history of this area of the universe. I'll say this area of the universe, and it's they're starting to decipher it now. So that being brought up would cause probably a huge conflict, and that's what they're worried about, is us misbehaving because of our religious beliefs.
Right. So, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that Jesus was fake or Moses was fake or Muhammad was fake.
You're right. I mean, all these avatars have lived here and have been here and have been, these amazing gods and people. What's going to happen is, if they did bring up everything, let's just say the stories that are being told are not completely told to the full extent. There's gaps and things that are missing, and this will fill all those gaps. And it's like an unfinished book with all the religions. Wow. So this will fill in all those loose gaps, and everyone actually will come correct. But of course, I'm sure some will not. Some maybe won't believe it, to believe something your entire life and then have an archaeologist bring something up to the surface that says something different, it could cause some turmoil in the world.
It definitely could, for sure.
You've actually seen what you believe may well be alien technology, an implant.
I have.
What did you see?
I saw a technical device that had been removed, excised by the Department of Veterans Affairs by a surgeon, a trained physician from a U.S. military service member who claimed to have a UAP encounter.
The physician claimed that the object tried to run on him or evade being excised.
So let me get this right. This object, whatever it is, it's a constructed object. It's a technological object.
It's a technological object enveloped in some sort of biological capsule. The current theory is that that capsule is there to fool the body as not to create some sort of immune response to a foreign object.
The physician you spoke to described that object apparently trying to intelligently avoid being captured by the human doctor.
Correct. That is what the doctor reported.
What?
One of the things that I learned from whistleblowers from the cabal itself is that they have to work within something they call the rules. And this is very, very important. The rules are a body of spiritual principles that they must follow in order to be allowed to exist. Now, what do I mean by allowed to exist? I mean that they are aware that there are benevolent forces that will prevent them from achieving their goals unless we give them permission to enslave us. Ultimately, the universe is intelligent, alive, and conscious, and it is benevolent. It is a benevolent consciousness. That consciousness does not allow the negative to succeed unless it is invited. So the cabal has made a science, a very elaborate science, out of studying these arcane, occult, magical principles that allow them to get away with what they do. So they have to put out everything that tells you who they are in music videos, in these Super Bowl halftime shows, the Grammy Awards ceremonies. They're out there showing you the truth. This is what people are going to have so much trouble with once disclosure happens, is that these people actually practice black magic, and they are very, very good at it.
Bro, this stuff is crazy interesting.
Another Boeing whistleblower dead after contracting a mysterious infection. Senior national correspondent Kevin Cork has details.
Jesse, it's happened again. Joshua Dean, a former quality auditor who sounded the alarm about a supplier who'd been ignoring defects in the production of Boeing's 737 MAX jets, is dead. And what's more, he is now the second whistleblower to die not long after disclosing problems involving Boeing. Dean's aunt says he went to a hospital in Wichita after experiencing breathing difficulties. And during his stay, he allegedly developed MRSA, pneumonia, needed to be intubated. Shortly thereafter, he died suddenly. Now, you may recall it was just a couple of months ago, back in March, another Boeing whistleblower, John Barnett, took his own life in the midst of a legal battle with Boeing. His team manufactured the door plug that blew out midair on an Alaska Airlines flight back in January. Shortly thereafter, he told the Wall Street Journal he was fired because he simply pointed out that the holes were drilled in the wrong spot on the fuselage, something his employer vigorously denied. In February, he also told NPR he thought Boeing was sending a message that if you're too loud, we'll simply silence you. And to add to the growing number of very interesting questions about this case, both deceased whistleblowers were represented by the very same South Carolina law firm. I don't know what to make of that, Jesse.
Bruh.
Lou Elizondo. Is he one of them?
Oh, of course. I mean, you know, as soon as he emerged on the stage, I had a very senior guy, CIA, who's worked this issue since 1979, contact me about that problem. But remember, the only way that you can control at this point all this coming out, because of what we have and what we're pushing forward through media, is to control the narrative, the spin. So the people coming forward who get an all-access pass on to, say, 60 Minutes or something like that, are people cleared by this same illegal, corrupt organization, because they'll tell the public, yes, the UAPs are real, but we don't know what they are. Well, this is an absolute lie. We absolutely know what they are. Some of them are ours, man-made, and are confused quite frequently with the others, which are of extraterrestrial origin. Those operatives are taught very well to take an issue, grab it, capture it, and then spin it in the direction that they want.
Propaganda.
He is well ahead of what people know. Because where I was, right place, right time, I saw some of that.
You occasionally still work at Area 51, right?
We call it the test site or the test range. Area 51 is just one component of that entire huge sprawling compound. During that time, a green orb type object had flown over And that was where the weird shit started. We moved on down another hallway, and it had a marking on the wall and said off-world technology.
That's insane.
Metallic, basketball-sized sphere. Looked like it was just levitating above the podium. It looked unnatural. I'm looking at it, and it almost looked like a mirage type of effect. And above that display screen were these hieroglyphic symbols that I started to see appear. This is encoded in something deeper.
Way deeper.
This stuff, man.
There has been harmful activity or aggressive activity. Has any of the activity been aggressive, been hostile in your reports?
I know of multiple colleagues of mine that got physically injured. And the activity, and I got
by UAPs or by people within the federal government?
Both.
Okay, so there has been activity by alien or non-human technology and or beings that has caused harm to humans.
I can't get into the specifics in an open environment, but at least the activity that I personally witnessed, and I have to be very careful here because they tell you never to acknowledge tradecraft, right? So what I personally witnessed myself and my wife was very disturbing.
Okay.
I was told my name is Corona with a K. So that little entity, it's about 4.5, 5 foot tall. A lot of people tell me, well, can't you make him gray? No, I can't. He has a greenish tint to him. He has a very unique feature of his face where the skull is larger out here, then it comes into a smaller cheek. The eyes are like teardrop, but with the top of the teardrop toward the inside slanted a little like this. 2 small slits for a nose and a slit for a mouth. Lips are not dominant or anything like that on this particular entity. But yet, you can see emotion within his face. And I say him because during the times that we have had interaction, we've even talked about family situations. Most often, we don't go ahead and think of them being anything like us to where they have families. We think of them as being genetically created. There's no longer that bonding between the female and the male of the species. Well, there is love there. It's not something that is missing from their society. They work towards the common good of their society.
This stuff is deep.
The Cunha Tunnel is basically everything anybody ever says on a phone, on a computer. Those guys are down there and they're listening to everything. And there's one spot in there that this lieutenant was telling us about that he worked in, and it was called Otherworldly Communications. And I'm like, what? He's like, there's only 8 of us. No one enlisted, just officers. We're all linguists, and we just listen all day to otherworldly communications.
What?
Come on now. If we're talking about aliens, who can communicate with an alien? And he said that we have been doing this for a very long time, that we're already traveling in space. And I remember seeing them coming down. They were wearing like black uniforms. Only thing on their sleeve was a blue circle with a red pointer coming up the top on the left arm. We were told they were space program guys. This is 2007. A space program? What the hell is a space program? They're already in space and on the moon. And there is a dialect, and we do have linguists that understand the dialect. So then, 2 weeks later, a couple of guys I knew that worked in the Cunha Tunnel, I pulled aside and I said, listen, man, that lieutenant said there's a place called Otherworldly Communications. And they said, there is, man. We can't even go in the hallway over there. And then you find out why we're in Iraq. Because there's some artifacts that we have to get out of Iraq. We went to Iraq because we wanted to plunder some kind of artifacts they were looking for. He confirmed this. They said that there were some artifacts from, God, who knows how long ago, that were extremely important, and they were from other civilizations that came to Earth and started the whole program. And one of the officers said that this is our fourth civilization on Earth that has been this far or even further along than we are. Let's just hope we make it. What does that mean? Hope we make it? Who, is someone going to take us all out? And he indicated with his eyes that, yeah, we could be taken out if we do it wrong.
Wow. Whoa.
There is not a single they here. Multiple, certainly multiple factions of the same species, if not multiple species. What I have learned is that we live in a dream, a carefully constructed reality. We make use of a science that is tightly controlled and suppressed and distorted. I think we are left behind.
Humans.
I think normies, the normal humans, the people have been left behind. Us. People need to understand that we might have freedom of speech, but that has been subverted. We do not have freedom of inquiry. We are blocked from learning what we need to know. Just in the public world, we are blocked from advancing in science. We are taught false science intentionally to prevent us from learning more. We live in the Matrix. It's just much more boring than the movie.
What?
J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI director, was a major hoodlum. He was the master of blackmail in this country. Everyone in Washington knew it. He was building files on senators and congresspeople. If they crossed him, they would be exposed. If they tried to force an investigation of the FBI, they would be exposed personally. And now we come to the breathtaking scandal of having this man, Manuel Noriega, who's a former paid CIA agent under 6 presidents. That's according to George Bush. He revealed that information in the presidential debates with Michael Dukakis. This man Noriega, the dictator of Panama, an indicted drug dealer, boasting that he has blackmail control over George Bush, the United States president. I refer you to the Newsweek May 23, 1988 issue, in which it's about Noriega. It concludes with Noriega's quote, quotation marks, "I have George Bush by the balls." This may help you understand why, of all the dictators in the world, George Bush has a fixation on Noriega. He's got a problem there. He's got to keep the pressure on Noriega, else if Noriega ever got some credibility working, who knows what might happen in our own legal system up here. I worked for George Bush personally at the end of the Angolan operation when he was CIA director in 1976. We had broken the law and we had perjured ourselves to cover it up. We being Henry Kissinger and Bill Colby, mostly me being in a staff position under them. Bush's policies were not to find out the truth and punish the perpetrators and clean up the CIA. It was to cover for us. He went to the congressional committees and said, I wasn't here, but these nice people I'm meeting, he's a very nice person, by the way. He would walk down the hall shaking our hands saying, hello, I'm George Bush, and I want you to know I love being here working with all these fine people in the CIA. And we were saying, huh? I mean, this is the CIA director, is supposed to have kind of an aura, you know. But he was going to the Congress saying, I can't believe that these nice people out there would do the things that you're alleging, but I'll check. And then he had a young attorney sent down to my office to go through my files to purge them of documents that would prove exactly what they were accusing us of. And then he went back to them and said, we've checked, there are no files in the agency that prove anything like you're alleging, therefore you can drop it, and they did.
Whoa.
Okay, so for those people, first off, who have no idea who the hell I am, I'm the guy who was behind the revelations of global mass surveillance in 2013. I worked for the CIA, I worked for the NSA as a contractor at the NSA, staff officer at the CIA. I was undercover working at embassies. And I talk about the difference between this in a book and contractor and government official and how it's all sort of lost its meaning. But I saw something wrong, and I saw basically the government was violating the law and what I believe to be the Constitution of the United States and more broadly human rights for everyone in the United States and around the world. There were domestic surveillance programs, there were mass surveillance programs that worked internationally. Basically everything that they could monitor, they were monitoring. And this is actually, like, people go, well, isn't that obvious? Isn't that what they're supposed to do? And this is weird, but the answer actually is no. Under the framework of our Constitution, the government is only supposed to be monitoring people that it has an individualized, particularized suspicion of wrongdoing for, right? We think about this in the investigative means, right? Like all those TV shows where they're like, go and get a warrant. The reason they have to do that, like we fought a revolution over this, a couple hundred years back, is the idea that when we had, kings, when we had governments of absolute power, they could simply go in your home and go, is this guy a pot smoker, get his diary, whatever it is. And just like if you find evidence of a crime, you march them off to prison and it's all good. You found evidence, they're a criminal. Or you didn't find evidence, well, no harm, no foul. You're just doing what government does. We were trying to build a better system where it went, yes, the government has extraordinary capabilities, but it only uses them where they're necessary, right? Where they're proportionate to the threat that is presented by this person. We shouldn't be afraid of the person who's got like a baggie of weed in their dresser or something like that. That is not a threat to national security. That is not a threat to public safety.
All right, guys, that was another TikTok compilation. Hey, whistleblowers and people calling people out on what's going on behind the scenes. You got AI people, you got the Boeing people, you got the UAPs and the extraterrestrials, you got the presidents, the CIA. It's a lot of stuff going on that we not privy to. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just keep it 100 out there, man. Like, if you made it this far, you a real one for real. Make sure you put that in the comments, man. Look, we still trying to get 1,000 comments. And I'm hearting everything. But like I said, I got a TikTok playlist. If you into this stuff, proceed with caution. Do your own research. But till next time, man, self-love and positivity. Fire Squad, I got you and you know it.